So this right here is a system that was destroyed by a Category 5 hurricane, which if you're not familiar with the category nomenclature, Cat 5 is pretty much the strongest it gets. I think Hurricane Michael hit 160 or thereabout miles per hour winds, and the eye wall went right over the house that this system was in. It was my parents' house. Small video on that if you're interested. But anyway, this thing's kind of messy. So you can see we've got dust everywhere. There's probably dust caked up in the radiator fins and cable management around the back. Oh Jesus, even this is dirty up here. We're gonna try to clean this PC up. I also wanna troubleshoot any potential issues, especially with the power supply. So this system was actually soaked with rainwater. The roof of my parents' house where this system was, it was built for my brother who was living with them at the time, the roof gave way. So rainwater was literally just soaking everything in the house, which is why the house was deemed a total loss. But anyway, the system has seen better days, obviously. The water that soaked the system was just rainwater. It wasn't salt water, although we did live near the Gulf of Mexico at the time. I'm sure there were a few ions in the rainwater, but nothing to the extent of which I would expect would blow a power supply. It's not like the system was on. In fact, I told my brother right before all the cell towers got knocked out and we didn't have cell service to power off the system and disconnect it and drain the caps, hold the power button down after it's all disconnected, make sure that power's fully drained from the system, just in case something happened. Well, I'm really glad I told him that because I feel like if I hadn't, this system would probably be totally gone. The power supply likely would have taken other things with it, including the motherboard and graphics card, which are two of the more expensive components in the system. So we're going to try powering it on as is. That's like exactly how it is now. I'm obviously going to make sure the connections are still consistent, but other than that, I think for some reason RAM is missing. I don't know why. But we're going to see if it boots up exactly the way it is now. And if it does, that's great. We can kind of take things apart, clean it all out, try to make the system look fresh again. That's kind of the goal here. I want this to look kind of refurb, so to speak. Might even flip it for a quick buck here locally. But yeah, that's assuming everything goes well. It's assuming the power supply doesn't need to be replaced. Not that that's really an issue. We've got a few power supplies in there that would fit this this general price range. This system here only had a Ryzen 3 1200 in it and a GTX 1060 6 gig. So nothing spectacular. It did have, for whatever reason, a 240mm AIO from AeroCool. I kind of just did that because my brother was into water cooling at the time, so he could say he had a water-cooled system. And then, of course, this is the Fantex P300 for those who are interested in the case. Also, if you're wondering, the slot covers, they're missing because I completely cut off the little brackets that held those in place. This card was originally turned vertically with a vertical bracket. It was turned backwards, was turned horizontal again just because something was happening with that riser cable. We're going to install a new riser cable, a new vertical mount, get that thing turned vertically again just so that it doesn't look so odd back there. And that is, again, assuming that the system works. So let's go ahead and see if it powers on. The stylish Be Quiet ShadowRock 3 offers exceptional cooling while maintaining a silent profile thanks to a PWM Shadow Wings 2 fan. And with a 190 watt TDP, expect plenty of overclocking headroom. Click the link below to learn more. All right, so I have just plugged everything in. I put the monitor on top of the tower for whatever reason. I don't know why I did that. But we're gonna power everything on now and see if sparks fly, literally. So power buttons in the middle there. Seems to be running just fine. The fan should be turning, I think. Maybe under load it will turn, but just to be safe, I'm going to swap the power supply out for something like an EVGA 500 or 600 watt, whatever I have in the closet, but something that makes sense for this caliber of build. Maybe throw in some cheap custom cables like the ones we got from Amazon a while back. That video is up here somewhere. And clean up the dust. That's really about it. Turn the graphics card sideways. System should look good as new. It's nice to see the system boot into the BIOS. We're going to configure some things, double check if there's a storage drive installed. There is not, so I'll also add one of those, maybe a 500 gig SSD, and call it a day. Let's get started. And all right, the PC is mostly finished. You can see it's pretty clean in there, and it's upside down. Why is it upside down? Well, I realized midway through building this that the feet of this case, for whatever reason, are missing. Might have to do with the fact that this was, again, submerged somewhat in water, so maybe the feet, like, I don't know, just dissolved. Who knows where they went? And then, of course, we moved after that. My family moved. So we're going to have to make some more of these feet, because right now the only things keeping this case propped up are these little lips here that hold the PSU dust filter in place, which is right there. And that isn't going to fly. The case is too rocky. And then on top of that, power supply is not going to get any fresh air. Probably wondering what the heck's going on. So what we're doing right now is 3D printing. That was my printer about to choke on itself. I don't know what was going on there. What I've done basically is design a foot that is supposed to thread in through these 3 holes. And I think I've made correct measurements. Sorry, I know that is like super blown out, but I think that looks good. So here's to hoping this actually plays out the way I wanted. That at first glance looks way too freaking wide, but who knows? We'll see. I only did, I think, 0.4 millimeter slices, so it's gonna be a pretty low res cutout here, but it should only take about 30 minutes per foot, and I'll report back in a second. We'll see how it looks. All right, and here is the final piece, and you can see that it turned out fairly nice on top. The bottom is a bit rough on this side particularly, and that's just because I haven't totally honed in the calibrations for the printer yet. The printer bed needs to be a bit more level than this, and I'm still working on getting some of the temps right. But anyway, for a leg piece, I don't think this is gonna be a huge deal. And we're gonna fit the last one to the bottom left here, stand it upright, power it back on again, and then we can finally be finished with this rebuild, so to speak. It's gonna slot in just like this. So here we go. Much better. So I actually like this particular LED color scheme here, where just the fans up front are illuminating most of the build, and we also have some subtle red LEDs in the motherboard, but nothing too fancy. For whatever reason, the case LEDs aren't lighting up right now, nor is the RGB strip up top. I might have to change a few things, see if I miswired anything behind the motherboard. But all in all, I think this turned out quite well. Compared to what it looked like before, you can see it was pretty disgusting. Now it is looking much better. I think it is ready for a new home. So stay tuned for a video coming up here pretty soon where I'm gonna give this away to somebody. I'm gonna actually list it for sale, and then I will meet them and give it away. Now that will all happen before this video airs, so you can't just go looking into the local classifieds and try to find it. But I'm gonna try to list it at a really good price, but still for something. They're gonna expect to pay something. I'll meet that person and I'll just give it to him or her. So stay tuned for that. If you guys like this video, thumbs up, consider clicking that subscribe button, leave a comment down below, and I will catch you in the next one. My name is Greg. Thanks for restoring PCs with me.